So in Chapter 10 we talk about a conic section. So a conic section is when you intersect a plane and a cone. So the two cones, one is upside down, one's right side up, or the base is at the bottom right here, and the base is at the top right here. So if you slice through parallel to its base, the cross section is going to be a circle. If you slice through at an angle on one of the cones, the cross section is going to be a parabola. If you intersect not parallel to one of the cones, it's going to be an ellipse. And if you intersect vertically, perpendicular to the base of the cone, it's going to be what we call a hyperbola. So they all have special different equations. So the first one we're going to look at is a parabola. So we've done parabolas in vertex form and standard form. So we're going to look at parabolas that open up and down, like we've been using throughout Algebra 2, but also ones that open up on the x-axis. So the definition of a parabola is the set of all points in a plane that are the same distance from a line, we call this line the directrix, to a point not on the line, which we call the focus. So if you were to connect each point, so I'll take a point on the parabola, to a point to the focus, so the shortest distance is going to be perpendicular, and connect it down here, these two are going to be equal distant. So no matter where you are on the parabola, when you're connecting them, it's going to be the same distance. That's the definition of a parabola. So the focus is always inside the parabola, and the directrix is always outside the parabola. And so if you have a parabola that's opening up or down, the directrix is the horizontal line, so that's why it's y equals. If you have a parabola that's opening side to side, left and right, the directrix is always a vertical line, which is x equals. So see how the focus is inside the parabola in both these situations? Now, when you have a parabola that is going through the origin, well, actually, no matter what, if you have a parabola, this distance right here is always going to be the same. So these two distances are always the same. So if you know the focus, you can get the directrix. If you know the directrix, you can get the focus. So if you have a parabola that opens up and down, you're going to have y equals ax squared. If you have a parabola that opens side to side, it's going to be x equals ay squared. And if a is positive, it's going to open up. If a is negative, it's going to go up and down. If a is positive, it's going to open to the right, and if it's negative, it's going to open to the left. So let's try some of these problems. We're going to want to use again and again that C is the distance from the vertex to the focus. So I'm going to use this formula, the absolute value of A equals 1 over 4C, where C is the distance from the vertex to the focus of the parabola. So remember, we'll go back to what that means again. So if you have a parabola and your focus is right here, C is the distance between here and here, which also is the same as the distance between the vertex and the directrix. Okay, so number 1, write an equation for the graph that is a set of all points on the plane that is equal distant from the point F, which is a focus, at 0, 1, and the line y equals negative 1. So let's look what's going on in this parabola. So you have a focus at 0, 1. So if it's on in the line y equals negative 1. So what's going on is this has to be a parabola that opens up and down. So the vertex has to be halfway in between here. So the vertex has to be at 0, 0. And this parabola is opening up because remember that the focus is inside the parabola, so it looks something like this. So what I'm going to do is C is the distance from the vertex to the focus. So remember, C is this value, so C has to be 1. So I need to figure out what A is. So I do absolute value of A equals 1 over 4 times 1. So A is 1/4. Now I know that this is positive, A is positive 1/4 because it's opening up. So my equation is going to be y equals 1/4 x squared. If it was opening side to side, it would be x equals y, or ay squared. 2. Write an equation for a parabola with the vertex at the origin and the focus is at 0, -7. So here's the focus. So in order, remember that the vertex is at the origin. Remember that the focus is inside of the parabola, so this one has to open down. So my directrix is going to be up here at, if this distance is 7 and this distance has to be 7, y equals 7. So to write my parabola, I'm going to do A, which I know A is going to open down, or be negative, equals 1 over 4 times C, where C is the distance between the focus and the vertex. So this is 7. So A is 1 over 28. However, I know that this is opening down. This is negative, so my equation is going to be y equals negative 1 over 28 x squared. Okay, number 3. Write an equation for the graph that is a set of all points that are equidistant from the focus. The focus is right here at 2, 0, and the line x equals -2. So this is my directrix. So my vertex has to be halfway in between, which is at 0, 0. So my parabola is looking like this. So it's opening sideways. So that means I'm going to have x equals, got to figure out what my A is. So my A, I'm going to use this formula where C is the distance between these two. So C has to be 2. So A is going to be 1 over 4 times 2, which I'm going to make sure it's positive 1/8 because it's opening to the right. So it's x equals 1/8 y squared. And then number 4, write an equation for a parabola with vertex at the origin and focus at 1/2, 2. So here's my 1/2. It's on the x-axis. Origin going this way. Again, it's going to be a positive, but it's going to be x equals, because it's going side to side, so A is going to be positive. So I use my formula 1 over 4 times C. So C, the distance is 1/2. So this is 1 over 2. So my equation is going to be 1/2. So I want to get what my A is. 1/2 y squared. So it's x equals 1/2 y squared because it's positive. It's on the x-axis. Okay, number 5. Given the equation y equals 1/8 x squared, find the parabola's focus and find an equation for the directrix. So let's just draw a sketch of this here. If we know it's y equals, it's going to be going up and down, and this is positive. The vertex is at 0, 0, so it looks like this. So my focus has to be on the inside, and my directrix is my horizontal line on the other side of the vertex. So this time I know that A is equal to 1/8. So I'm going to do A, which is 1/8, equals 1 over 4C. I'm kind of going to go backwards. If I solve for c, c equals 2. So that means the distance between here and here and here and here has to be 2. So that gives me that the focus is at 0, 2, and the directrix is the line y equals -2, if that distance is 2. Okay, number 6. Find the domain and range of the parabola. So this parabola has to go side to side. The origin is at 0, 0, and the vertex, sorry, is at 0, 0. And also it's negative, so it's going this way. So domain is going to be all the x values. So all the x values are going from -infinity and stopping at 0 and including 0. So you could write it like this, interval notation, or you could write it as x is less than or equal to 0. In the range, it's going on infinitely up and down, so the range is going to be all real values. And then, okay, number 7. Graph this equation and find the focus and directrix. So this, go back to your vertex form. We know the vertex has to be at -2 and +3. So I'm going to go to -2, +3. It's going to open up because A is positive, and the first difference is 4, so it's going to go up 4, right 1, or up 4, left 1. So it's going to look something like this. So I have my A, so A equals 1 over 4c. I need that. I need the c to figure out where the focus is in directrix. I know the focus is somewhere over here, and the directrix is a line over here, but I need to get exact. So if I know my A is 4, I do 4 equals 1 over 4c, and I solve for c. So 16 c's equal 1, so c equals 1/16. So that means my focus is 1/16 up from the vertex, and my directrix is 1/16 down. So my focus is going to be at -2, because the x value is still going to be the same, but then I'm going up 3 1/16. And my directrix is going to be the equation y equals 1/16 less than 3, so that's y equals 2 15/16.